everyone, welcome to our new podcast episode of Fellow Talk Video. I'm Fellow B. Today I'm so glad to be online with Andy, and we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, FWA, the Fixed Wireless Access. Andy, would you please say hello to our global viewers?
Hello everybody, nice to see you again. And it's really nice to meet you again in the Fellow Talk with the interesting topic of FWA.
Okay. And I know that you have been working on this technology for rather a long time.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's really a long time because I worked with the FWA project about 10 years ago. I never expected that it is a WiMAX network and the operator use WiMAX for FWA, then they want to evolve to the 4G network. That is my first FWA project. That is about 10 years ago.
Wow, a decade ago, you started your project experience with FWA.
Yeah.
And I understood that for this technology, it's really not new. And previously, in the age of 3G or 4G, there were several names like EWBB, WTTX. Are they exactly the same thing? Or currently, we call it FWA?
The same. They're actually the same. It's just like the same product with a different brand. And actually, what we call the WTTX and EMBB or other things, they actually use the same technology, that is FWA, the Fixed Wireless Access.
Okay, so about the first project, it was 3G era, right?
Yeah, the 3G era, and actually, WiMAX is the 3G technology of the IEEE, and it totally phased out.
So I understood that the telecom operators had a long story in deploying such technologies. And what are the benefits that telecom operators get from deploying such technologies and providing services to the end users?
I think the first priority is that it's cheap, and it's cheap for both the operators and for the subscribers compared with the fiber services. And in China, we are quite familiar with the fiber access, but generally in the whole world, if you imagine that almost half of the population still do not have the reliable fiber broadband access, so FWA is a very cheap, efficient alternative for both the operators and the subscribers.
So when you are saying cheap, you compare the FWA services with the fiber optic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because most likely the operators use it to just access the wireline market, and they just claim that they can provide a similar service level like the fiber, but in the much cheaper way. So the subscriber can save the money, and the operators can earn their investment straight away.
Yes, we understood that the cost is one aspect. There should be other things like the difficulty to deploy the optical fiber in a special area, right? So this should be the other reason that the customer like FWA better.
Yeah, of course. Just as you have said, it is much more efficient for the deployment of the FWA, especially that we know wireless technology has one big advantage over the wireline technology, is that it can provide a really wide coverage in the most efficient way. And if you want to develop one fiber user, then in some countries, for example Italy, it takes almost 1 month to deploy the access and just to dig the hole and just to extend the lines to the user's home. But with the FWA, it would be very fast. Almost within 1 week, the access can be provided.
And yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
And I think that is just one part. Another part is that for some area, the wireline access is totally unavailable. For example, for the historic heritages and for some homes just built in the mountains. And for such areas, and the FWA seems to be the only choice.
Yes, of course. You have to protect those ancient buildings. Like I believe there should be many this kind of
ancient
things
buildings, and in some areas that is totally unacceptable. And let's just say that some landowners just think that, okay, I do not want a lion come into my home because I want to keep this private area, but they can generally accept the wireless access because with wireless access we do not see any lines or cables, things like that.
This should happen a lot in the Western part of the world because most of the land
Yeah.
belong to private, and not only the underground optical fibers, but also the air optical fibers is still a problem. So in this part, FWA can really provide a convenience for the operator to bridge the final miles. To provide the last mile connection to the end users. So let's talk about the technology itself. It makes me consider to make a comparison between 4G FWA and 5G FWA. Of course, the main difference is the connection speed. Currently,
for sure.
the NRFWA can provide a really high, really broadband connection. And besides that, what do you understand about the other part of difference?
Okay, just to make the comparison between 3G, 4G, and 5G FWA, they just that is kind of same question as compare the mobile network because they use the same equipment and same technologies. Of course, the most important difference is the bandwidth because we know that 5G can provide extremely large bandwidth compared with 3G and 4G. But I think that is another very important aspect is that with 5G standalone, the 5G network can provide the network slicing. And in this way, we can provide a lot of customized services. For example, sometimes the business users, they just need very badly of the reliable access. Then with the single slice, we can provide such services. But with 4G, it is not available. I think the
for the business part, for the 2B customer, this is my next question. But before that, you mentioned just one point is very interesting, is that currently the 5G FWA can provide the functions like the slicing. And if you have such kind of function, you can firstly, for example, you can be aware, the network can be aware about what is the service of the end user, and it can dynamically adjust the network to provide a little bit more bandwidth or a little bit higher performance to the user, right?
Exactly. Especially when you think that it is a era that we want to extend the 5G, extend the business to all the industries. So private network is a very popular practice, and with it, the FWA can find a lot of way to be used.
Yes, of course. And just now, I'm thinking a thing. I'm thinking kind of, we are talking a lot about the network automation. So if you're using the FWA, the 5G technologies, this automation can be unified, adjusted, consider the whole 5G network as a whole. So it can provide a unified experience for whatever the subscribers on the street, the subscriber in the company, or at home in a household. So that is so important. So let's come to the 2B part. I just want to ask, did you see any interesting use cases of FWA in the business area? Just now mentioned about private network. That's one very important part. And I believe most of the factories or this kind of entities located in a rural area, FWA should be very useful for them.
Yeah, exactly. And just like say that in the rural areas, FWA is a very good choice for both the enterprise and the individual users. And also we say that in some very high-end usage, for example, in the financial area, and sometimes the users just want to pay a large sum of money just to exchange for the very reliable and very low latency and very large bandwidth access. And in this way, FWA can tap the new businesses. And
yes. I'm thinking a thing is that the big investors, those big bosses, if they are playing golf in a rural area in a golf course, normally they are not located in a city center, so there shouldn't be very good connection. So if you have FWA, you still can provide the on-time information and with a very short latency. This is so important for the invest industry. But
I say that is for the rich people, and that is only, and to be frank, that is a very small number of people. And in fact, FWA has already been regarded as a very good choice to just eliminate the digital gap. For example, it is mainly from the rural area, especially for the poor population. Just as I have said, half of the world population still do not have the reliable broadband access, and FWA could be their hope.
Yeah, from this point of view, I think FWA can also be very popular in the areas, in the developing areas, or
For example,
in the area under development. Yeah, for example, in Africa.
In Africa, in the large area with very poor population. When I say poor, I mean both the number and their income. FWA could be a very good choice.
This is important.
Yeah.
This is important. Yeah. As a member of the industry, we always say that we couldn't leave anyone behind, right? Well, I think we have to consider all the human beings, all the humankinds as a whole. Okay, so what do you see about the difficulty or about the challenges of this FWA? I mean, from the technology point of view. I know that there is a bandwidth like millimeter wavelengths, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, in the 40s, I say that the technology is very, very mature. There's almost no back point for the FWA. But in the 5G era, of course, with we need to handle very large bandwidth. That is a good thing. But at the same time, we know that the 5G band is mainly in the higher end. For example, 3.5 GHz is already considered as a golden spectrum in the 5G. But most of the spectrum is already located in the millimeter band, and even in the future in the 10 GHz band. So the coverage is a really big problem for the 5G FWA, as we know that.
If we are considering, I think there is a big development trend is to use the high frequency, right? How do you see about the solution to solve the efficiency problem of the millimeter wavelengths? Is there any specific technologies to do this kind of things?
Yeah, for sure. As GSMA already claimed that the millimeter band is the future for the mobile services. So different vendors have different alternatives, but generally I think there are two alternatives. The first is that to make full use of the current 5G system, for example, one Chinese vendor, ZTE, they use the RIS technology. This is the way that they just reflect and enhance the 5G signals to the different area to extend the coverage. In that trial, they claim that RIS. And it's called the
let's first introduce about the RIS. RIS stands for the
reconfigurable intelligent surface.
Okay, so it should be a passive. It should be a passive devices.
Both passive and they have both passive and positive solution. But of course, with the positive RIS, I say the dynamic RIS, they can provide better coverage.
Okay, so you mean they can provide a deeper coverage, right? It looks like it's a wavelength guide or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just guide the signal to the right direction, but RIS itself does not increase the capacity. That is the solution's idea. They just make full use of the current 5G system by extending the signals to the more extensive areas, but they do not increase the capacity. So the good side is that RIS is much cheaper than adding the 5G base stations.
Since it is not a complete equipment, the capacity is still coming from the base station.
Yeah, still come from the legacy 5G science itself does not increase the capacity.
So now the current 5G can support this RIS technology?
Let's say that there's still a lot of work to do, but we know that there's a lot of coordination among different operators, and there's still a lot of work for the standardization. So there still could be at least 2 or 3 years for the large-scale commercialization of RIS.
Okay, still interesting. So let's just keep tracking on this new RIS technologies and
but I think
future development of FWA.
Yeah, but I think they are already at the door. It is very close to the commercialization. They got the product, they got the software, everything they need.
So with that, the FWA is for sure going to take off. Oh, actually, it already taken off, but I believe FWA can be even more popular. And maybe not only for the household, but for the even, I think RIS is good even on the outdoor area, for example, along the street or in a yard.
Yeah, in the metro. in the metro
Yeah.
and in a lot of alley and narrow streets like in the European countries.
Oh yes, very narrow street. Not similar, not the same United States. Okay, so today we quickly talk about the FWA technology with Andy, and we hope that you can enjoy this video as much as we do. If you have any comments, any suggestions, like any specific topic to discuss, please just feel free to let us know, and we'll take them seriously. And thank you so much for watching this episode. See you next time.
Wanna hear you go.